Going once, going twice. Picture this. You're browsing an online auction, hoping to snag a deal on a gently used banjo or maybe a vintage velvet Elvis painting. But instead of the usual flea market finds, you stumble upon something truly unexpected: the social media accounts of Alex Jones. Yes, that Alex Jones. The man who built an empire on conspiracy theories, yelled his way into infamy, and somehow amassed a following that rivals some small countries. The very same Alex Jones who has been banned from nearly every major platform for spreading misinformation and inciting violence is now selling the keys to his digital kingdom. It's a scene straight out of a dark comedy, a bizarre intersection of internet culture, legal drama, and free market capitalism. The reason for this unusual fire sale? Alex Jones' finances have seen better days. After years of pushing unfounded claims about everything from the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting to the gay frog conspiracy, the legal bills have finally caught up with him. Facing multiple defamation lawsuits and a mountain of legal fees, Jones and his InfoWars empire have filed for bankruptcy, leaving many to wonder how the mighty have fallen. But even in the face of financial ruin and legal turmoil, Alex Jones remains a captivating figure. He's a master manipulator of media, adept at attracting attention and sparking outrage, even as he claims to be a victim of censorship. And now, he's offering you, the discerning internet denizen, a chance to own a piece of his digital legacy. It's hard to imagine a time when Alex Jones wasn't a fixture on the internet, his booming voice and wild-eyed rants echoing across social media platforms. He built his empire on being loud, being provocative, and being everywhere all at once. But that omnipresence came at a cost, one that Jones is now reckoning with as he's forced to auction off the very accounts that made him famous. It's a strange twist of fate for a man who once commanded the attention of millions with a single tweet. Now, those digital soapboxes are just another asset in a long list of possessions being liquidated to satisfy creditors. The internet might be a breeding ground for misinformation and conspiracy, but it's also subject to the laws of the land, and those laws have finally caught up with Alex Jones. Of course, Jones's financial woes aren't solely the result of legal battles. The truth is, he's been operating on borrowed time in the world of social media for years. After years of pushing increasingly outlandish theories and engaging in what many considered hate speech, platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube finally had enough. One by one, they banned him, effectively cutting him off from his vast audience and significantly impacting his ability to generate revenue. The deplatforming of Alex Jones sparked a fierce debate about free speech, censorship, and the role of tech companies in policing online discourse. His critics argued that platforms had a responsibility to protect their users from harassment, misinformation, and the potential for real-world harm. Section 3. Free speech versus consequences, a delicate balancing act. The question of whether or not Alex Jones is a victim of censorship is a complex one. On the one hand, he has the right to express his views, no matter how outlandish or offensive they may be. But that right is not absolute. It doesn't protect speech that incites violence, spreads demonstrably false information that harms others, or constitutes harassment. Platforms like Facebook and Twitter justified their decisions to ban Jones, citing instances where his followers had harassed and threatened the families of Sandy Hook victims. The question then becomes, where do you draw the line? When does free speech become hate speech? When does misinformation become dangerous? Section 4. The man who cried, false flag trust, truth, and the allure of conspiracy. Regardless of where you stand on the issue of censorship, there's no denying that Alex Jones has tapped into something powerful, something that resonates with a significant segment of the population. He's a master of exploiting people's fears and insecurities, weaving elaborate narratives that cast him as a lone voice of truth in a world controlled by shadowy elites and nefarious forces. He plays on distrust of authority, on the human need to believe that there's more to the story than what we're being told. And in an age of information overload and political polarization, it's perhaps not surprising that so many people find themselves drawn to figures like Jones. The auction of his social media accounts becomes a symbolic event, reflecting our current moment and the challenges we face in navigating the ever-evolving landscape of truth, trust, and technology. Section 1. The Alex Jones Show performance art or dangerous propaganda? Is Alex Jones a brilliant performance artist? A modern-day P.T. Barnum peddling snake oil for the digital age? Or is he a dangerous demagogue, a master manipulator who preys on people's fears and prejudices for profit and power? The answer, like most things involving Alex Jones, is complicated. There's no doubt that Jones is a master communicator, a showman who knows how to hold an audience captive with his booming voice, exaggerated facial expressions, and knack for weaving together seemingly disparate threads into a grand, overarching narrative of conspiracy and intrigue. But where does entertainment end and incitement begin? When does hyperbole bleed into harmful misinformation? Section 2. The Court Jester Conundrum, when satire bites back. One of the most common defenses of Alex Jones is that he's simply a satirist, a provocateur who uses exaggeration and absurdity to expose hypocrisy and challenge conventional wisdom. His supporters argue that his over-the-top pronouncements are meant to be taken with a grain of salt, that he's not being serious when he claims that the government is putting chemicals in the water to turn frogs gay, or that Sandy Hook was a staged event. It's all just an act, they say, a way to get people thinking and questioning the official narrative. The problem with this defense is that not everyone gets the joke, and when those mistaken beliefs lead to real-world harm, as they have in the case of Jones's followers harassing the families of Sandy Hook victims, it's hard to argue that it's all just harmless fun. Section 3. Conspiracy theories for the digital age, a global game of telephone. In many ways, Alex Jones is a product of his time. He rose to prominence in the Wild West days of the early internet, a time when there were few rules governing online content, and anyone with a microphone and an internet connection could build an audience. He understood the power of social media before most people even knew what it was, and he used it masterfully to spread his message far and wide. He tapped into a deep vein of distrust in authority, a sense that the world was being controlled by forces beyond the understanding or control of ordinary people. And in the age of algorithms and echo chambers, where people are increasingly exposed only to information that confirms their existing beliefs, it's easier than ever for misinformation to spread like wildfire. Section 4. Love him or hate him, Alex Jones and the business of outrage. Whether you view Alex Jones as a dangerous demagogue or a misunderstood satirist, there's no denying that he's a master of the media. He understands the power of outrage, the way it can be used to attract attention, generate clicks, and ultimately make money. He's built an empire on being the loudest voice in the room, on saying the most outrageous things, on pushing the boundaries of acceptable discourse until they break. And in a media landscape increasingly driven by clicks, shares, and engagement, where controversy often trumps substance, it's a strategy that has proven remarkably effective. The more outrageous Jones's claims, the more attention he receives, the more his followers rally to his defense, and the more money he makes. So what exactly is up for grabs in this bizarre bankruptcy auction? Well, it's not just Alex Jones's Twitter account, though that's certainly the crown jewel of this digital fire sale. We're talking about the entire InfoWars social media portfolio, Facebook pages, or at least what's left of them, YouTube channels, pre-ban of course, Instagram accounts, even obscure message board profiles, all being offered up to the highest bidder. The auction also includes domain names, website templates, even unused email lists. Basically, everything you need to kickstart your own conspiracy theory empire, minus the legal troubles, hopefully. It's a treasure trove for internet historians, digital archaeologists, and anyone who's ever wondered what goes on behind the scenes of a media operation built on fear and misinformation. As news of the auction spread, the internet, being the internet, responded with a mixture of amusement, bewilderment, and a healthy dose of schadenfreude. Memes were created, jokes were cracked, and Twitter threads were spun, dissecting the absurdity of it all. Some saw it as a fitting end to Jones's reign of digital terror, a karmic comeuppance for years of spreading lies and profiting from fear. Others couldn't resist the urge to bid, even if it was just for the bragging rights of owning a piece of internet history. The comments sections overflowed with snarky remarks, with many wondering who in their right mind would pay money for accounts that were essentially digital ghost towns. So who exactly are these potential buyers, these digital bargain hunters sifting through the remnants of the InfoWars empire? It's a motley crew, to be sure. You've got your internet pranksters, those digital jesters who live for the chaos of owning a piece of internet infamy. Then there are the more serious buyers, the digital strategists and political operatives who see value in those dormant follower counts, in the potential to tap into a pre-built audience, even if it comes with a hefty dose of baggage. And let's not forget about the collectors, those digital hoarders who see value in owning a piece of internet history, even if that history is as messy and controversial as Alex Jones himself. The auction of Alex Jones's social media empire raises some interesting questions about the nature of online influence, the value of digital assets, and the legacy of a man who built a career on blurring the lines between truth and fiction. Will these accounts be resurrected, their new owners attempting to capitalize on the InfoWars brand? Or will they become something else entirely, a blank slate for a new generation of internet provocateurs to project their own brand of chaos onto the world? Now, before you grab your pitchforks and accuse me of being a card-carrying member of the tinfoil hat brigade, let me be clear. I'm not defending everything Alex Jones has ever said or done. The man's a walking, talking soundbite of controversy, and some of the things that have come out of his mouth are, to put it mildly, deeply problematic. But even a broken clock is right twice a day. And even Alex Jones, for all his bluster and hyperbole, has occasionally stumbled upon a kernel of truth amidst the mountains of misinformation. He's been a vocal critic of corporate power, government overreach, and the military-industrial complex, issues that resonate with people across the political spectrum. He's also been ahead of the curve on certain issues, sounding the alarm about things like mass surveillance and the erosion of privacy long before they became mainstream concerns. But to dismiss him entirely as a raving lunatic is to miss the nuances of his appeal and the very real anxieties he taps into. The Alex Jones saga also raises some uncomfortable questions about the power of big tech and the future of free speech in the digital age. When platforms like Facebook and Twitter can silence voices they deem unacceptable, even voices as loud and as obnoxious as Alex Jones, it sets a dangerous precedent. Who gets to decide what is and isn't allowed on these platforms? Who determines the limits of acceptable discourse? These are not questions with easy answers, and the answers will have far-reaching consequences for all of us. We live in a world where algorithms increasingly dictate what we see and don't see, what we're allowed to say and not allowed to hear. And while there's a strong argument to be made for protecting people from harassment and misinformation, there's also a danger in creating an online environment where dissent is stifled and uncomfortable truths are swept under the rug. The Alex Jones auction, then, is not just about one man's financial woes or the demise of a media empire built on conspiracy. It's a canary in the digital coal mine, a warning sign that the rules of the game are changing and the stakes are higher than ever. But let's be honest, folks, this isn't the end of Alex Jones. This man's a cockroach in a flak jacket. He'll find a way to survive, to adapt, to rebuild. He'll be back, ranting and raving on whatever fringe platform will have him, preaching to his choir of true believers, and raking in donations from folks who believe he's the only one brave enough to speak truth to power. The internet, for all its talk of accountability and consequences, has a funny way of rewarding outrage and controversy. And who knows, maybe that's the point. Maybe Alex Jones is the ultimate internet anti-hero, the villain we love to hate, the walking, talking reminder that even in the age of carefully curated online personas, there's still a market for raw, unfiltered, unapologetically outrageous content. So, buckle up, Buttercups, because the Alex Jones Show is far from over. It's just intermission. and you can bet your bottom dollar that the second act is going to be a doozy.